The Prime Minister says he is refusing to help bring 11 Australian families back to the country from Syria, with Anthony Albanese declaring that if you make your bed, you lie in it. He added that the 34 ISIS brides and children will face the full force of the law and potential charges if they arrive on Australian soil. It comes as top international law experts warn the government has no legal recourse to block Australian citizens from re-entering this country. So let's bring in Housing Minister Clare O'Neil and National Senate Leader Bridget McKenzie. Morning to both of you. Claire, we'll start with you. Will the government issue exclusion orders on these women, or is the PM just talking tough?
No, we'll manage that with the advice of what are the best national security agencies in the world, whose only job it is to protect Australians. This is an enduring challenge for our country. This is a group of people who left Australia in 2014, and governments will have to manage what happens to these people. The Prime Minister talked yesterday about the fact that he has no sympathy for them. I am completely with him on this. People must face consequences for the poor decisions that they make, and this group made decisions that are completely contrary to Australian values. So if they are able to return to Australia, I hope that they will face the full force of the law. And every decision that our government makes in regard to these matters will be guided by one thing, and that is the safety of Australians.
So, Claire, has the government or a government agency helped them obtain passports?
Well, Nat, the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade is required to issue passports to Australian citizens. That is a matter of Australian law, and whatever is about to come out of Bridget's mouth, that would be the case under any government. I'd remind everyone watching that this is an enduring problem for the country. The Morrison government made a decision to repatriate a group of these people a few years ago. It is an issue for the country that is managed with expert advice from national security agencies. That occurred under the Morrison government. It's occurring under the Albanese government. And frankly, we are lucky to have people in our country who have been watching this group with laser-sharp focus over a period now of more than a decade, and they'll continue to do that.
OK, so Bridget, when the opposition leader says the door must be shut, you can't shut the door either. You have to let them in.
Well, I think, Nat, what we're going to have to see is the Prime Minister's tough words matched with tough actions. And your questioning was right. We need to see the government urgently impose temporary exclusion orders on groups such as ISIS brides and ISIS fighters. We need that to happen now. And I think what's concerning is that the Labor Party does seem to be incredibly compromised with this cohort. We've got one of Tony Burke's political associates has been driving the push to return this cohort. Now, I can't imagine any more greater conflict for the Home Affairs Minister to have a man who has literally launched the Friends of Tony Burke in a federal election campaign, simultaneously driving the repatriation of ISIS brides. And I want to know what Tony Burke's been doing to stop him, because right now Labor's looking incredibly politically compromised with the return of the ISIS brides.
Claire, would you like to respond to that? Obviously, Bridget is talking about Dr. Jamal Arifi, who's been helping them get the passports.
That is an outrageous and offensive claim to make, that someone charged with the protection of Australians is being compromised by politics.
Just a sec, we'll let Claire speak.
Sorry. Everything that you're talking about here is politics. Our government is concerned only with the safety of Australians, and it is offensive and wrong to suggest that a person charged with protecting the national security of our country is doing something for political reasons without a shred of evidence. And I think you should stop saying that, and the opposition should stop saying that if that's in their talking points for the day. These are important national security issues that deserve to be dealt with outside the realm of the normal cut and thrust of politics. We are charged with defending our country and protecting our country, and that is the only way, the only prism that the Home Affairs Minister will be using when he thinks about the use of his powers.
OK. Claire, just on these temporary exclusion orders, can we put one of those in so that they all can't come back?
Again, Nat, these are going to be decisions made by the Australian government on advice from our national security agencies, exactly the same advice that would have been given to Bridget's colleagues when they occupied these positions when she was a part of the Morrison, Turnbull and Abbott governments. I'll let the
So we
Home
don't
Affairs
know?
Minister speak to the individual details of it. What I can tell you is that these people will face the full force of the law, as they should. People cannot make decisions like the ones that these women have made and think that they can do so without consequences.
But they'll be allowed back in by the sound of it.
Nat, I think I've answered your question several times here. We have a situation here that is long running for the country. There are Australian citizens overseas who in some instances have done things that they deserve to face consequences for. Every Australian government has to manage groups of people like this. Our government is no different from the Morrison government who facilitated the return of a group of these people not long ago.
The Morrison government brought children in, and you brought women and children, and now there's like 34, so the number is growing. And I think Australians want to know, when the Prime Minister says, if you make your bed, you lie in it, and we have no sympathy and we will not help them, then we find out that they all have passports, because the head of the Rouge camp in Syria has cited the passports. How did they get the passports? How did the children get the passports when our government is saying we didn't help them?
Yeah. So, Nat, again, the Prime Minister's been really clear. Our government has no sympathy for this group of people. They should face the full force of the law here. They should face the full force of the law.
So how do they get the passports
if this group of
if we're
people
not
is
helping
able
them?
to find their way back to Australia? Nat, again, I've answered your question. There is a law that the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade must issue travel documents to citizens who are overseas. That's not a decision of the Australian government.
How did they get birth
It is not something that we put in place.
How did the kids get birth certificates?
They are not receiving assistance to return to Australia, and the Australian government will not assist them. What we have said instead
if we gave them
is that if they
passports,
come
that's
here
assistance,
after being
isn't it?
watched by our national security agencies, these people have been watched by our national security agencies for more than a decade. If they touch foot on Australian soil, then I am fully hoping that the Australian Federal Police come and throw the book at them if they've broken the law.
Okay, Bridget, one last comment.
Well, I want to see the Prime Minister match his tough words with tough action, and they should be urgently imposing the temporary exclusion orders on this group. We shouldn't be having a debate about this. We've just had an attack on Australian citizens by ISIS-inspired Islamic terrorists. Like, this is not the time to go soft on the ISIS brides. So I hear the rhetoric, I hear the words, I want to see action, and I just think your questions, Nat, this morning are on the money. How did they get birth certificates? How did they get passports? And why is Tony Burke's political fundraiser actually on the ground helping this cohort make their way to Australia?
Well,
something stinks.
How did they get the documents if our government is saying we're not helping them? That's what I think Australia is asking. Well, thank you very much. Both have had your say this morning. We'll see you next week. Here's Sherba.